Om Jaya Shri Ganesh, Om Jaya Shri Ganesh, Om Jaya Shri Ganesh. Om Jaya Shri Ganesh, Om Jaya Shri Ganesh, Om Jaya Shri Ganesh. Om Jaya Shri Ganesh, Om Jaya Shri Ganesh, Om Jaya Shri Ganesh. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Om Guru Vasudha Tattvavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayate. Om Triyambakam Yajahamaye Sugandhi Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Devabandhanam Prityomuchanamritate. Om Triyambakam Yajahamaye Sugandhi Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Devabandhanam Prityomuchanamritate. Om Suklam Bharadaram Vishnam Sashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannapadanam Dhiyaye Sarvabhino Vashantaye. Agajanana Padmakam Gajanana Maharnisham Madekritam Partanam Yekarantam Vasmami. Om Namo Bhagavate Veshaye Guru Veturya Prabharajaya Tata Dataya Harate Samyak Sampudaya. Tajata Om Veshaye Veshaye Maha Veshaye Veshaye Raja Samudyate Swaha. Om Shanti 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 Om. Party hard yesterday, so much that you have trouble being concentrated now. Doesn't matter. Today we speak of spooky things. Because speaking about spooky things is like going behind someone talking and go, ah! The idea of negative energies and entities is a topic that is not well addressed in any type of wisdom, because we fear it and we do not know enough about it, and we fear the unknown as much as we fear the actual negativity it is born from. When ego is so strong that it refuses the truth, a densification of consciousness happens that will accumulate that consciousness in, let's say, darker planes to dramatize. Actually, it accumulates it right here, just right here. Someone is in a state of sorrow, but doesn't deal with it, keeps it inside. It will densify. At one point, will radiate denial, because an emotion well packed, on which you also put the pressure of denial, starts to shake, or emit its own vibration, and it produces a negative goo, okay, like ectoplasm. Not physically, sometimes physically, very rarely, extremely rarely, but maybe some of you have seen it, I've seen it, I've touched it. Usually it's on the lower astral and vital plane, and eventually on the mental plane. What happens is that this negativity is not stuck on you. It just taints pretty much everything you touch and where you go. This tainted energy resulting of denial, of someone in sorrow who doesn't let it out, of someone in anger who allows himself to go too crazy, of someone lazy that doesn't want to change his attitude, that prefers going through the process of death rather than activating and getting healthy, will create various kinds of taints, all carrying the consciousness of what caused it. So all carrying the consciousness of denial or infatuation to a materialist behavior. The materialist behavior that we have learned last week. 7 of them. Of course, I'm talking about what you call the 7 sins, which are just natural process, but if you are a human and you gather philosophical abilities that cows and elephants starts to have, but cats definitely don't have philosophical aptitude. Okay, it doesn't philosophize on the possibilities of God. It doesn't know yet. Or it knows at its level, so it's just natural. It doesn't create negativity. A cat does not create negativity. Jackals do not create negativity, although we look at them and we hate them for all the havoc they could wreak. But they're just parts of nature. We have philosophical abilities. We have the ability to feel emotions and pretend we're not having them, or deny their expression, or overexpress them to dramatize. We have the ability to be unnatural about our feelings because of our philosophical attitude. Because of that, we end up compacting consciousness at a lower plane than the physical plane, which is impossible. Actually, what like what King Solomon said, hell is various planes compacted in a physical one. It's all in the world. It's compacted in between the atoms of the world. That's another way of saying it. In a way to reflect a dark version of the happy universe we have. So this taint, this goo, the first level is a taint. Okay? A taint or an energy that just sticks. And sometimes these taints flow in ways to agglomerate to compatible taints because it's attracted to its resemblant energies. And this thing can stuck on humans and animals and plants and everything, but only entities with philosophical aptitudes can create that energy, that denial of nature, because a worm is completely at peace in a state of being a worm. Okay? So basically a worm is automatically a saint. Okay? Without the ability to know anything about it, so it doesn't matter much. So when we gather philosophical aptitudes, we also have the ability to choose if we go in the direction of nature or not. We have denied the natural ways. We have denied also the spiritual ways, and denying every little aspect of ourselves, compacted in very complex systems. We create more and more of that goo. So first would be a taint. A taint is actually not just that stuff that goes around. We call it ectoplasm. But a taint is when that is stuck on humans. It can be in a certain locality. You can have just a bit everywhere or a lot at a certain place, depending on a lot of situations. Okay? And when taint accumulates and accumulates and accumulates at a certain spot, you have to know that this taint, this ectoplasm, was made by mind, by consciousness. That fights against itself because this is what we do. So if it's made of consciousness, it's compacted enough, it will gain consciousness. And it will become somewhat a living entity. So when a taint accumulates enough on someone, or sometimes just in nature, it will make a little bug-like creature that wants to leech on living stuff, animals, because it's made of consciousness that was supposed to be incarnate in a body. So what will it do? It will seek a living body to keep on living on that, because it's made of our consciousness. So that consciousness that knows itself to be alive, with a very limited mind, it can only think at the level of the denial that made it to be, will create what we call a succubus, because it sucks. I don't need it pisses us off. I mean, it just goes clook like a leech. Okay? Succubus. And when this succubus on the surface of your body, or gently, slightly inside the skin, would become stronger, it tries to go inside, and there it incubates. But from the moment it's inside, it starts to influence you. It tries to get over your mind, to get you to think the way it does. We call this an incubus. It incubates. It takes an awful lot of time for an incubus to incubate, or very little if the host is already the incarnation of an abomination. And the incubus tries to take over the person's mind by imitating a nervous system. Why does it imitate a nervous system? Because it was born from consciousness that was human before. It was born from our collective human stuff in a state of denial. It came from that, so it knows only how to do that. So it tries to do like a nervous system, go to make branches and like roots. You know, our nervous system looks like roots taking in every part of the skin and the flesh. So it does that. It starts by attacking the central nervous system, then it tries to go to various components, and it tries to work its way to the mind, the brain, but also at the mental level, the mind, at the emotional level, the emotional centers, and at the vital level, the batteries. Okay? It goes to the major components of every body, and there it can be fed. So it creates its own placenta, if you will, inside you, and that would be an incubus. You don't have this, all of you guys right now, okay? Don't worry. Or very buried so I don't see it, because it can't hide. It's made of denial. It is made to hide. Okay? The dark side of the force knows how to flee from the gaze of the great white light masters. Okay? If ever an incubus would hatch, which is extremely rare, you would have a minor demon. Okay? We say that a person is possessed when an incubus has reached the point of thinking in the place of that human. So somewhere in the middle, or somewhere during the development of an incubus, someone would start to have these voices and erratic things, and sometimes you have those, but it's just your little schizophrenia, which is not dramatic, can be healed. Yeah, doctor said it can't. Okay, forget it. Although some of my students got that healing, that's the time that's latest. So at one point you'll have a minor demon. Now, a minor demon is a reflection of an archdemon. The archdemons are not actual demons roaming around. An archdemon is a universal concept saying that there's a state of denial in the whole of the universe that is called that. Okay? I don't want to give you the names. I don't want you to contemplate something that will frighten you. Okay? I just want you to understand this process. And if the minor demon is not dealt with swiftly, it kills the human inhabiting that body, and it becomes that. So you have a person at one point that just go AWOL, that becomes a serial killer or a mass rapist, someone that you know that starts to have erratic behaviors over many years because it's incubating. At one point it just goes out of the map, he loses it, you have trouble finding them, and you learn after a while that they suicided themselves after creating lots of crimes, that kind of thing, okay? But it's not, the human is dead at that point, okay? After the minor demon takes over, the human is dead already. You just have the body of, you know, a person that you think you know, but it's not that person anymore, okay? Of course, that situation is so extremely rare and has little documentation. In 2009, I believe it was in 2009, there was human lifetime record of recognized possessions. Never before did the Catholic Roman Church acknowledge so much as 250,000 cases of authentic possession in a single year with supernatural manifestations. Two very good depictions, two movies that I consider to be extremely accurate as to how a possession occurs is the first Paranormal Activity and the movie The Rite with Anthony Hopkins. Okay? And there was an actual exorcist that was on the plateau of The Rite that was taking care of whatever scene were about the exorcism itself, that he was there to authenticate that the way they put it in the movie is exactly what that priest has experienced before in actual cases of possession, including the spitting of nails and this kind of shit, okay? Right? So that was authenticated by the counselor that was sent by the Roman Catholic Church that wants to collaborate with these kind of movies so that people will start to wake up regarding that matter. Okay? So there's no difference between someone being schizophrenic, psychotic, manic depressive, and someone possessed, because it's the same thing. Okay? But sometimes it is caused by more physical and natural processes, so it can be treated with medicine, or at least put under control easier. And there can be some kind of healing, some therapy available. Sometimes it's caused by more elevated, let's say, emotional, mental systems, and then we would call it the possession, because there's no way any physical intervention could alter the state of these people. They really need a supernatural intervention. Okay, I'm not going to show you how to become an exorcist. That's an awful training. That's a long training. That's also an awful training to become an exorcist. You need to know how to summon the basic archdemons, the 4 or 5 lower archdemons. Let's say the one of the minor cross, but reversed. Okay, and to be able to face them, allow them to take you over, give them a week to install themselves in your nervous system, and then self-exercise and win. And I've rarely seen one of my students succeed the first time. You have to be guided. Like Absagni at one point, after 2 months, just couldn't feel God, was so angry, and each word I said was so mad at me. So that's why instead of hoping for her to come to the class, I'd say, hey, I'm going to go and pick you up, or else she would not have been there. Okay? So I went to pick her up at her place and bring her. And at one point I said, you've been 2 months with that one. And she told me, shut up. She started to express, shut up, stop talking. So I lifted myself from that seat and I gazed at her, and that thing just went, go or burn. And it went away. It's just an instant moment of consciousness, really focused and aligned on that experience. And she started to cry. I was happy. She was crying hard, very emotional. And I sat and I said, Absagni, tell everyone why you're crying. And she said, for the first time in 2 months, I feel God again. Did you understand this? Stuff is made of denial, and getting someone to be trained with demon activity is extremely harsh. So what I'm going to teach you today, it's just the Buddhist approach. That's the more Occidental occultism, because we're Westerners, I guess. But I'm going to show you the Buddhist ways to protect yourself against all these archdemons, the minor archdemons, which are the most powerful. There's not much we can do against the work of the higher archdemons unless you become a saint. But then again, the only way they could attack you is if you have the flaws that they can use to get to you. Okay, starting as a taint or succubus. Sometimes there's an incubus that doesn't find a host suitable and goes away. So you have a roaming incubus just waiting for a new host to be available. So someone could just get, boom, immediately that thing. So an incubus is when you feel that kind of presence, of dark presence around you. Of course, it could be a ghost. It could be your imagination. It could be a mental issue. It could be your own emotion that you deny, that your mind has projected as someone's watching me. Well, you're so afraid of what people think about you when they look at you, you get to the point of feeling someone watching you even when there's not. That's just your emotion. Most of the time, it's not demonic or ectoplasmic or negative energies. It's just your stuff. Look at your emotions. If you know how to integrate, most of it will just go away. And if it was negative, by integrating, you release from your system the handle that this incubus was holding on. So until an incubus has all these ramifications inside you, it's so easy to get rid of. At times like that, you know, one day, a few days of process, just stay conscious and loving light, joy, it's gone. Succubus just need to know how to work directly at it, at the problem that allowed it to stick on you. And incubus will do lots of integration. It can take a few weeks to get rid of that, a few months. And a minor demon, usually it's pretty late. And you need a saint to intervene, and it can take years. Alright? So we're showing you how to just elevate your energy and how to protect yourself from these ideas, okay? So that is about possession. Okay? You got this in note. We forget about it because it's too spooky. Let's spook about spooky things instead of speak of spooky things. I will again retake a phrase that Absagni said that I just love. Demons are so less dramatic than what you think, but so much more powerful than you could believe. You have this false idea that if you have demons inside you, all you go is blah, 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 blah. Again, that's maybe the devil thing. No, you completely ignore. It is made of denial. It's made of that power to prevent you to be conscious of it. And even good exorcism, good exorcists will not be able to see demons just at a glance. It takes great experience to go. To see a demon, you need to have resolved all the issues at this level, or at its kind of activity of what it's made of. If you have not resolved it, you're in denial. How could you see it? You really need to have resolved these issues. So without proper therapy, integration, a very strong spiritual path, and defeating denials, accepting your emotions, surrendering to God, all these practices that are so essential to be able to go in a state of light and love when drama tries to sink you down in deep depression. So you have these New Age hippies trying to become exorcists by reading the book, you know. I mean, you've got years of focus, of learning what this shit is made of. Recognize yourself as that. If you're God and you're everything, not the pompous, pretentious God, I am God, fuck you. I'm talking about if you know yourself as God to the point that you know everyone else is also God. Because when you know yourself as God, you know that everything is. Okay? So you just roam around and you see Christ and Buddhas and you're just conscious that everything is that holy state encased in denials, and some people forgot. Well, pretty much everyone forgot, actually. So you want to work on yourself a lot to be able to get to the actual power of commanding a negative experience to disappear. And sometimes it's not just by words. There are various methods to do these exorcisms. It takes an exhaustive course in learning these methods. But it's easy enough to just know to care about you and make sure your energy is good. So I'm not talking about protecting yourself of negative energies from your students if you're a teacher, because you need to block it off. If you're a teacher, you should open up your students and accept to take in their negativity, then learn to be a good teacher and burn it. Deal with it. Instead of, teachers in the New Age world that put a wall between them and their students not to be affected by their negativity, what they're doing is they're preventing their light from reaching the students. So all you have is intellectual transmission of the wisdom, but you're not doing any initiation. If you protect yourself, you protect yourself. If you surrender to the grace of God, that light will come and burn pretty much anything that could affect you. And if some of it comes inside you, it means you have that denial that allowed it to go through your light, because you didn't have the frequency that burned it before it reached you. And that means that you know what to look for. So I always want to be affected by you guys. For whatever sticks in me, well, of course I'm conscious of what's going on, and I suffer a bit even with the stuff I've already resolved. But if there's something I have not resolved, it will be stuck. And I'll know, I've been in that conscious state of suffering and still that thing doesn't go away. What is it? And I'll start to work on myself as much as I would work on the person to make sure it just goes. Okay? So that's the work of a teacher. That's the difference between a teacher and a master. A master will face any evil for the light to shine. And a teacher is someone who wishes to do that but doesn't have the humility to proceed. The humility to admit that they have so many flaws. A teacher usually is so proud because I have students, I made it. Okay? If your goal was enlightenment, knowing that you have students is not a good validation point. All right, breathe and relax. Practicing mantra is not enough. You need also to be able to be virtuous, to be good, to be a good person. Okay. We've learned a few mantras, the mantras that I call the introductive mantras, the basic ones: peace, compassion, 3 suns, which are good base mantras to just give you a fundamental experience of spirituality. Invoke just the good energies, the basic energies, and get you running. Purify your energy systems and drop out of drama a bit, go to peace. So now we'll breathe. And we'll invoke these most fundamental powers, which is harmony and compassion. So you breathe, you inhabit yourself, you feel and you observe. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. In your mind, you will relax. Relax your mind. Relax your heart, your emotional systems. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Your willpower, relax it. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Relax your body. Your physical body is relaxed. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Relax. Om Mani Padme Hum. Compassion, loving kindness, compassion. Om Mani Padme Hum. Good. Now pay attention here. That was just to get yourself ready to be in the good attitude to accept to look at yourself. Okay? I've been speaking of spooky things that you're afraid of. Who of you felt that fear? Okay, so you went into the fear just because I spoke of a few things. That means you don't accept them as a part of nature. If it's a part of creation, if a demon exists and God is the creator of all things, then God is what created demons. Therefore, demons are holy entities like everything else in the universe. So, the fear you have of demons is the fear you have of yourself. Look at your fear. Gaze at your fear. What could go wrong if there is faith? What could go wrong? Look at the fear. In a certain way, you're afraid of the unknown. And another way, you're afraid of what you do know. Subtly. Maybe subconsciously, maybe consciously. You're afraid of what you could not handle. And we have been very high spiritually this week. In a great state of joy and happiness, I just have to start addressing a matter for you to go in a state of fear. You believe in the drama so much. So you have to work on yourself and accepting we came here for a reason, to learn, to grow. And it's okay. Have you so far been, all of you here, so affected by this negative energy that you start doing evil things, pure evil things? Did you ever feel control? Okay, why is it going to start? Because I talk about it. Okay? You went defensive. Okay? I want you to become aware of what goes on. If we go in denial and pretend it does not exist, it will not make the sickness go away. Pretending you don't have a cancer is not the good way to heal it. Pretending that you don't have tonsillitis is not a good way to get rid of it. Okay? If you're not a doctor, don't treat yourself. If you're not an exorcist, don't go in that direction. But if the doctor says, at home, I can prescribe you a few things that you can do on your own. Well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give you over-the-counter stuff, that you don't need a prescription, or let's say prescription with the initiation, and I'm giving you that right now. Use a metaphor you want. Okay? Each metaphor has a flaw anyway. Relax. The first thing that we're going to do is set fire to your bodies. Om Vajra Agni. Everyone. Om Vajra Agni. 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 inside contemplate the blazing suns. Your third eye is a radiant sun, the glorious one, filled with the light of God. Your solar plexus is a radiant sun, filled with golden light flowing, enjoying the experience of the world, producing heat and light. Your base chakra is a thermal sun, a magmatic power. Om Vajragni inside your mind, Om Vajra Agni, the glorious sun, the radiant sun, the thermal magmatic sun. And all this power sets all your bodies on fire, and you burn. And this fire, which is also peace, which is also compassion, don't nourish it by fear. Don't think, I'm afraid, so I'm going to give all my best to that power. Instead, contemplate that fear and burn it. The fear that makes me want to be safe. I'm going to burn that fear. I'm going to burn that insecurity. And I'm going to let go. And contemplate that your abdomen is so inflamed with joy. It's a fire of joy. The whole of your physical body, vital, emotional, mental body are just radiating with fire and life, like a blazing inferno, should we say. A powerful fire, like a geyser, swirling. With Om, you invoke God. With Vajra, you invoke the power of your soul. With Agni, you invoke the forces of nature to be set on fire, to be holy. Of course, not physically in fire. When I say your physical body's on fire, don't go crazy. Just imagine that every cell holds life. That is fire. Your body produces heat, that's fire. That your heart is pumping, that your lungs are pumping. That moves that oxygen in your body to create that small scale combustion of your energy so that all the energy system in your body is good. Breathe, inhabit, observe, and feel. And relax. You will have, on your own, you will have to take the time to contemplate those fears that you have of yourself. And today we'll speak of the holy wisdom that will allow you to stay free from any kind of normal possession. If no one casts a spell on you, let's say. And for the sake of reducing your fear, that sheet will be destroyed. I'll tear it in 50 parts. Thank you. Take a little break.